Hey guys, hopefully you are off to a great start with your weekend or your next week, depending on when you're actually watching this. Um, it is Friday right now after Halloween, so thank you guys for being so flexible with Wednesday night, Halloween night. We didn't have very many kids there, so I appreciate you guys just kind of rolling with what happened when we didn't have many students, and we were able to have some leaders that went home who didn't have group students from their group there, and so it was just kind of an interesting sort of night. So thank you just for being flexible. This week we're going to be back in our Acts study, back to normal. So study number 7. Three questions for you to focus on: questions 8, 10, and 12. So question 8 talks more about, how have you seen God use different circumstances in your life to draw you closer to Him, and then 10 talks about how have you seen God's power and display in your life. So the reason we want to maybe spend a little bit of time talking through these questions leading into question 12 is the mindset or the idea, sometimes we just become numb to God's working in our lives. We become unaware of it. It's not that it's not happening, it's just we don't often notice it. So hopefully, we could take a moment, pause, as leaders, think through how you would answer that question. So, because kids may need a little bit of an example, but we want to start to identify the ways that God's already at work in our lives, because that can provide such an encouragement to us as believers. I know it does for me, that God is at work. Even though we may not always feel like it definitely empowers us to feel like, you know what, I can go, I can step out on a limb, I can stand firm for God because I know He's working on me even now. So then, question 12 is probably, if you're going to only do one question, 12 is what you really want to get to. So question 12 is, are you convinced of what you believe? That even if people treated you poorly for it, you would still stand firm in your beliefs. Explain that. Why do you have this confidence? If you don't, what's keeping you from being at that point? What's holding you back? So, we've heard from a number of leaders that some students are asking some really, really good questions in your groups. And, we want to get to that idea, would you stand firm for Jesus even if everything were on the line? If you were the only person standing, would you stand firm for him? If somebody were challenging you in your faith, would you stand firm? Would you have that confidence that what you believe, you know why you believe it, you know what it is that you believe? Um, so we want to kind of get there. That's a pretty deep question, and it may lead to some secondary questions based on, how can I know that what I believe is true? How can I be confident of that? How can I know that God exists? Um, Even though I can't see him, how can I trust that the Bible is reliable? So I would encourage you guys to spend a little bit of time looking up some answers to those things. Look, why can we believe the Bible? You could talk about the historical side of it. You can talk about the conviction of the Holy Spirit as you read it. You can talk about the reliability of it, the consistencies in it. You could go through a lot of those different things, just as you span, throughout the course from the Old Testament throughout the New Testament. So I just encourage you, make sure you think ahead of time about these things. I know that we've got a bunch of students, maybe even more on the middle school side than high school. I'm not sure. I don't hear as much from you high school leaders, but I know from a middle school standpoint, there's lots of kids asking some good questions about their faith, and really starting to evaluate what they believe and are trying to build their own convictions in it. So I think it'll be a great discussion this week. Make sure you come prepared as a leader for it. Think through, as a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, what other things might pop into your head as you're working through this question. And so if you can come prepared with some thoughts on maybe some of these other topics that may come up, that would be probably helpful in your group. But if you get asked a question that you don't know an answer to, that's fine. Just tell them, hey, I don't know the answer to that. Let me get back to you. And you reach out to myself or Mario. We want to make sure you guys have the resources to tackle some of those questions, and help those students navigate those different areas of their faith. So praying for you guys, really thankful for you. Fall camp went great. We appreciate all your guys' help. We really can't do it without you. We can't do any of this without you guys. So you guys are the real MVPs of the student ministries, and we are totally behind you. We are loving it, excited about all that you guys are doing. So let us know if there are any ways that we can be praying for you this week. Otherwise, the word of the video, let's just say questions. questions, right? As our word of the video. We'll see you guys Wednesday, 6:30. We will have our meetings, high school upstairs, middle school in that front room 100. So see you Wednesday night. Bye.